well. Angela Forbes joins me now from Mainz, Germany, for a chat on the planned deployment of the National Guard ahead of the No Kings protest across the U.S. She is the Director of Strategic Initiatives, Democrats Abroad. Good to have you this weekend, ma'am. Now, let's just understand what this protest hopes to achieve, the No Kings protest.
Well, the No Kings protest is just like the first one, to indicate to our would-be dictator, Donald Trump, that the United States has had no kings since 1776, and we will never have kings again, and that he and the Republicans need to change their perspective on how they govern the United States of America.
So what do you think is the reason behind the deployment of the National Guard ahead of the No Kings protest? I know that Republican states are very much alert and ready, just in case, it begins in their states, Republican states. So what do you think is behind the deployment of the National Guard? Is it to curtail any sort of violence?
I think it's used to intimidate peaceful protesters, and it is an overreaction to what they view as an Antifa, which stands for anti-fascism, which once upon a time, up until Trump was inaugurated, the United States was an anti-fascist nation. So Americans have a constitutional right to assemble and speak out, and deploying the military against civilians can escalate tensions instead of calming them. Our focus should be on de-escalation, communication, and the protection of civil liberties.
Right. But don't you think Democrats' opposition to the National Guard deployment suggests they're, soft on law and order and unwilling to maybe support, the brave men and women in uniform?
Not at all. Democrats deeply respect those who serve in uniform. Opposing the use of the National Guard against American citizens isn't about disrespect. It's about keeping the military out of domestic politics. Supporting law and order also means upholding the rule of law, the Constitution, and citizens' rights to protest. Misusing our troops for political purposes undermines all three of those things.
Now, I'll put it to you, some of the questions that, have been, pulled together from social media, especially because we have reactions across social media platforms. So it is that how can Democrats claim to support U.S. troops while simultaneously opposing their deployment to maintain order and protect citizens?
Well, number one, U.S. troops, it's actually unusual for troops to be deployed inside of the United States. And so Democrats do support U.S. troops by ensuring that they're used responsibly and trained for the missions that they're given, and not placed in situations where they could harm civilians or the troops themselves become harmed. The National Guard is vital in emergencies like national disasters or genuine security threats, but not to police peaceful protest. That's a job trained for by civilian law enforcement and not military personnel. So it's not that we don't support them, it's that they are being misused right now.
So don't the recent protests and violence justify the need for, a National Guard deployment to maintain public safety and protect American lives and property? We've seen a couple of, protests, but sometimes they could be hijackers. So one's wondering if we haven't seen this protest happen yet. So just in case it happens, would it be wrong to have these National Guards on ground?
Well, violence, of course, is never acceptable, but most protesters are peaceful Americans exercising their civil rights. And when there are isolated incidents of violence, those responsible should be targeted and proportionately taken care of. Deploying the Guard is too broad and risk escalating conflict and criminalizing dissent. We actually have police for these things, and a smarter approach would be community policing, dialogue, and accountability for those who commit crimes, not militarization. And to be honest, there hasn't been that much violence in our protest in the United States, in any of the No Kings or other protests that we've had. I believe that this is really just a way for the Trump administration to try to intimidate U.S. citizens. And this is completely unacceptable.
So just finally, before I let you go, are Democrats more concerned with the rights of protesters than with the safety and security of law-abiding citizens? This, again, is one of these questions we come across, social media platforms. Just if you can respond to that quickly.
Of course, Democrats are not more concerned about the rights of protesters, but these two things go together. It's not about prioritizing one group over another. It's about ensuring everyone's rights and safety. Law enforcement officers deserve respect, and they get clear guidance that protects both them and the public. That means using them appropriately and not putting them in situations where political leaders make confrontation more likely. So the goal should be safety, not suppression, and we don't need the National Guard for that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Angela Fobbs, for making a time to talk to us with regards, the No Kings protests ahead and what Democrats think. She is the Director of Strategic Initiatives, Democrats Abroad.